text 30. This will change. It's divided on the board there. We'll try that. Om Namo Bhagavate Akuparaya Sarva. Om Namo Bhagavate Akuparaya Sarva. Sattva-guna Visheshanaya Palakshita. Sattva-guna Visheshanaya Palakshita. Tanaya Namo Varshmane Namo Bhumne. Vastanaya Namaste. Om Namo Bhagavate Akuparaya Sarva. Sattva-guna Visheshanaya Palakshita. Stanaya Namo Varshmane Namo Bhumne. Vastanaya Namaste. Namo Namo Vastanaya Namaste. Om Namo Bhagavate Akuparaya Sarva. Om Namo Bhagavate Akuparaya Sarva. Sattva-guna Visheshanaya Palakshita. Sattva-guna Visheshanaya in the form of a tortoise. Sarva Sattva-guna Vishanaya, whose form consists of Sudha Sattva, transcendental goodness. Anu Palakshita Stanaya, unto you whose position is not discernible. Namaha, my respectful obeisances. Varshmane, unto you, who, although the oldest, are unaffected by time. Namaha, my respectful obeisances. Umne, the great one who can go everywhere. Namaha, Namaha, repeated obeisances. Vastanaya, the shelter of everything. Namaha, respectful obeisances. Te, unto you. Translation. O my Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who have assumed the form of a tortoise, You are the reservoir of all transcendental qualities, and being entirely untinged by matter, you are perfectly situated in pure goodness. You move here and there in the water, but no one can discern your position. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Because of your transcendental position, you are not limited by past, present, and future. You are present everywhere as the shelter of all things, and therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. In the Brahma Samhita it is said, Kaloka eva nivasyakyatma bhuta. The Lord always remains in Goloka, the topmost planet in the spiritual world. At the same time, He is all-pervading. This paradox is only possible for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full of all opulences. The Lord's all-pervasiveness is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 61, where Krishna states, Iswar sarvabhutanam hrideshe Arjuna tishtati. The Supreme Lord is seated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 15, the Lord says, Sarvashyacharam Vridi Sanavisto Matasmitir Jnanam Apugunam Cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Therefore, although the Lord is present everywhere, He cannot be seen with ordinary eyes. As Aryama says, the Lord is Anupalakshita Sthana. No one can locate Him. This is the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation. O my Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who have assumed the form of a tortoise. You are the reservoir of all transcendental qualities, and being entirely untinged by matter, you are perfectly situated in pure goodness. You move here and there in the water, but no one can discern your position. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Because of your transcendental position, you are not limited by past, present, and future. You are present everywhere as the shelter of all things, and therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. Omagyanatimirandasya gyananjana salakaya chakshurlamilitam jena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam jena bhutale svaya vivakatamayam dadati patantikam Pachakopa to Vishya Kriya Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So today is the eve of the start of the 40th anniversary festival, the installation of Krishna Balaram, Shri Radha Shama Sundar, and Gaur Nitai here in Vrindavan. And so I have been given this opportunity to talk this morning. Tomorrow you'll hear from Harisari Prabhu, the class. So in a way I was thinking this was appropriate because if, you know, and especially in the West when they have a big concert or something, you have the major acts and before you have the lead-in. So I feel very content to have this role this morning. And of course here it's very easy to use this verse of purport to talk about Vrindavan Dham and Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. As it says here, the Lord, it says, no one can locate Him. Of course we know the pure devotee of the Lord can locate the Supreme Lord. And in thinking about in this time here, just over a half hour, what to speak about Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan, there were a few things I was thinking. Of course, we know that everyone carries, of course, the Lord in their heart, the Supreme Lord, the Super Soul. But the pure devotee carries Krishna in his heart. And this, of course, was the great compassion of Srila Prabhupada. We're approaching also the 50th anniversary. Sari and I were just talking about September 17th, Srila Prabhupada's arrival in Boston Harbor 50 years ago. And Prabhupada used to say, especially when I was first with him, and came to Vrindavan, it was 1972, Kartik of 1972. And when Prabhupada arrived in Vrindavan, this was his home. Prabhupada always said he was very comfortable living in his rooms in Radha Damodar, such a wonderful place. I'm sure everyone here has been to Radha Damodar Temple, Srila Prabhupada's rooms. And although he was very comfortable there, his priority was to fulfill the desire of his spiritual master to go to the West. And what Prabhupada did in every way, every transcendental way, and every way possible, was bring Vrindavan Dham to the West. And in doing that, bring Krishna to the West. And just being here now, 50 years later, it's always amazing to see how different in so many ways Vrindavan has become. If you look at the different photographs, Srila Prabhupada walking up and down this Chittakara Road, is that what we call it? Chatikara. And it was just a little small roadway that went from a tour road and came here to Raman Reti, which Raman Reti was also basically the outskirts of Vrindavan. It was Vrindavan, but there wasn't anything here at all. And to come here now and just see how this temple was built here in such a place, and now basically is the very center because of Prabhupada, what Prabhupada has done. But the other thing I was thinking about with Srila Prabhupada was when he left in 1965, and he was very committed to just never leaving the West, never coming back to India, not coming back to Vrindavan. That wasn't his service. But then, after spending almost 2 years, just 2 years in America, he became ill. And at one point, he came back to Vrindavan. And I saw that again and again when Prabhupada was feeling ill and thinking perhaps maybe the end, maybe leaving. He always came here to Vrindavan. And ultimately, of course, we know that he left this world right here in Vrindavan. So to me, I see, as it said, Krishna is everywhere. But of course, he never leaves Goloka Vrindavan. Prabhupada called this Vrindavan is non-different. She said it's replica Vrindavan. Because sometimes we come here and it's very hard to see that real Vrindavan, that very transcendental place. There's many different things that can interfere with that if we allow our senses to do that. But it's Vrindavan. So even though Krishna is everywhere by his potencies, he's especially here. I know myself, after being away, I was away for a year this time in the West. And the West has a way of at least materially spoiling you in so many ways because things are basically easy there. And coming back here was almost a challenge. As I arrived on the airplane and even riding from the airport to Delhi, and I'm thinking, I'm going to Vrindavan, at least I'm hoping to get to Vrindavan. But I was feeling a little bit that it would be very difficult. And even before arriving here, after we left Delhi the following morning on the way here, just all the clouds were lifted by Prabhupada's mercy. And to be here, I can see it's just the most inspirational place. Everything about being in Vrindavan. And all this goes back to all of us, to just one person, Srila Prabhupada. And this is what he wanted to give us. As he would say, the West is for preaching, said, otherwise, this is our home. And he said, Mayapur, Vrindavan, this is our home. The West is not our home. You go to, and if you want to be there, you have to be engaged in preaching activity. This is how he trained us in Krishna consciousness. So my first arrival here was during Kartik 1972. It was an amazing thing. Prabhupada spent the entire month here at Radha Damodar Temple. And as we'll be going over the coming days, so many different devotees you see it before you, and more to come, will be telling you about all their experiences in developing this place, the difficulties in doing it, the austerities that were there. And I realized how my inability to do that, because even though I was here with Prabhupada so much, I was always protected, in a sense, being in Prabhupada's quarters. Eating, prashadam was always there, everything was very nice. Even though I got ill most of the time while being here, malaria, jaundice, colitis, as everyone was doing. But we were in and out of Vrindavan. Prabhupada, the longest he stayed here when I was with him was that 1 month. During Kartik at Radha Damodar Temple. And it wasn't the first time. Of course, he came back, I guess, a year before with about 50 disciples. And that was the big arrival where Prabhupada showed everyone here what he had done. And he didn't consider, of course, that he had done it. He always referred to his spiritual master, the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and spreading the holy name everywhere. But he also knew that he was doing it, and sometimes he would speak about that. But he was so very happy and proud to bring his Western disciples to this place, to show that Krishna was for everyone. And he emphasized that over and over again when he would speak. That these Westerners, they're pure Vaishnavas. He never considered we were anything else. Speaking to us, of course, in his room, in the inner sanctum, he would chastise us. I was called many different things by Prabhupada. Most of them not considered very favorable. I was a rascal, I was a malecha, I would do things. So it was very easy for him to find our faults and to help us in that chastisement. But when we were around others, the outsiders, the guests, he had nothing but praise, because he really did see that as well. He would sit on his Vyasa here as we were jumping up and down, and just with his head, he could make everyone rise off of the ground just by going like this. You know, he was our puppeteer. So as he would smile and encourage, we were bouncing off of the ground during kirtans. And he enjoyed very much everyone seeing that happen. So there were so many heroes here in Vrindavan, my godbrothers, my godsisters, that assisted Srila Prabhupada. And I'll just share a few highlights. Of course, first coming to this place, the very first person I got to see in the kitchen was Jamuna. Jamuna, and I'm sure over the coming days you're going to hear so many things about Jamuna Devi. For me, she was just the most wonderful person, the most dedicated servant to Srila Prabhupada, cooking for him all day. I realized what a failure I was at cooking for Srila Prabhupada, using his little cooker, making a lunch in an hour. You know, she would be in the kitchen all morning preparing him just the most relishable preparations. And the very first time coming here, I was able to experience that in the most personal way by Prabhupada. Because coming here, half my service was just eliminated because she cooked. And this was one of my main services, cooking and massage. So now I'm sitting on that veranda at Radha Damodar Temple between the sitting room and the kitchen. Didn't know what to do, I just chanted Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada walked in and after a bath, putting on his tilak, saying Gayatri mantra, just walked into that little kitchen area where she was cooking. And I hadn't even seen it. So I poked my head in after about 5 minutes. And Prabhupada was eating. He was honoring prasadam. She was right there sitting on the floor rolling chapatis, little bucket stove, cow dung on it, maybe some coals underneath, making hot chapatis for Prabhupada. And I looked in, and Prabhupada was taking prasadam, and he said, "Have you eaten?" And I said, "No, Prabhupada." I said, I'll be eating with the devotees. And he just looked, he said, "No, come, sit down, take prasadam." So again I objected. And I said, "No, I'll just take with the devotees." And then he just looked and said, "No, sit down, take prasadam." So I said, "Yes, Prabhupada." And I went into that little room and I sat right next to Prabhupada on the floor. And an expert Jamuna, expert in everything she did. She immediately gave me a sitting place, little choki table, thali, with little katuris on it, started putting rice, little dal, little sabjis. And for the next 20 minutes, I sat next to my spiritual master and honored prasadam at Radha Damodar Temple. Prabhupada called that place the center of the spiritual world, Radha Damodar Temple. He said because the Krishna consciousness movement, he said, began here. He said by the arrangements of Srila Rupa Goswami. He said in this very place, he said this was where the Krishna consciousness movement began. So then I was taking prasadam next to Srila Prabhupada, just alone, just the three of us in there, and she was serving very sweetly. And what she cooked was definitely out of this world. It was the most transcendental. I had never tasted anything. I had been a devotee now for just 1 year, but I never tasted anything like this. So I relished. And I had a good appetite. I was a young brahmachari, I was 20 years old, so I was eating, and Prabhupada's eating. So we're eating together. Prabhupada was very quiet, he didn't say anything. And I never understood what an amazing opportunity I had to be sitting there at that time. So then, it was finished. And Prabhupada looked at me and he said, I was there. And he said, "So did you like it?" "Yes, Prabhupada, very much." I didn't have to make believe, I said it was very wonderful. And he just smiled and said, "Good." He said, "Now tomorrow you cook for her." He said, "This is the Vedic custom." He said, "You accept service, and you have to give service. Not that you just sit there like you're the Lord Master, just accepting service." He said, "So you cook for her tomorrow."